Okay, in this video we're going to be talking about type in Photoshop. I've got a white document here instead of a transparent one so that we can see the type a little bit better. Now, first of all, Photoshop does have some useful type techniques. It is not the best program for working with type. If you're going to be doing a lot of type, you're probably going to want to be working more in InDesign or in Illustrator. But I do want you to see what possibilities you have available here, and there are some effect possibilities that are unique to Photoshop. So the type is going to be done with the text tool. So that's right down here. It looks like a T about 2/3 the way down the toolbar. I'm going to press the T on my keyboard. That is the keyboard shortcut for the type tool. And now there's two ways that I can start typing. I can just click and start typing. This is very big. It's 200 points right now. Let's go to a 18 point. And so I can click and I can just start typing. Like so. And then when I'm done, I can go to a different tool and it just sets that type like so. The other thing I can do is rather than just click and type, I can click and drag a marquee like that. And now when I type, the text has specific boundaries. Okay, and then I would click a tool and it would go back to like that. So again, just click and type, or I can click and drag and then type and set boundaries for that type to be within. Now, when I'm typing, right up here in my control panel, I have my controls for my font type, for the font size. I also can bring out my character panel. I go to Window and I go to Character. And right here, my character panel also has my type and my type size, plus several more options that we're going to look at in a minute. When I go into my fonts, you can see that I get a sample, an example of my font over there, so I can see what I'm working with. For example, it may be if it's a serif font, which has the little feet and ornamentations, or a sans serif, which are just the simple flat ones. Serif fonts are often used for longer paragraphs of text, where sans serif are often used for headlines or captions, and this gives me a chance to just look at this sample over here. A good rule of thumb while we're on the subject is to limit your design to no more than 2 fonts, so as it doesn't get too distracting to have so many fonts. You want to have a nice contrast if you're using more than one, and having too many will take away from that. But back to Photoshop, in here we have the ability to choose those fonts. When I go outside of here, let's go and select this text again. And you can see that in here I've got the options to adjust my leading, which is the amount of space between the lines. I've got the ability to adjust my tracking, which is the uniform horizontal spacing, so basically how much space is between each of the characters of the text side to side. Or I have the ability to adjust my kerning. Now, kerning is generally going to be when I'm working with very large text, but let's just zoom in to give the appearance of very large text. And you can see when I put my cursor between two letters or 2 characters, the kerning is this one right here that has the V and then a slash and then the A, and I can go in to bring that down, which puts those closer together, or bring those up, which puts them further apart. There is a keyboard shortcut for kerning that's pretty handy. If you hold down Option, then you can use the arrow keys left and right, or on a Windows computer that's Alt and the arrow keys left and right to move the spacing between 2 individual characters like that. So that is my character panel. I also have a paragraph panel that came out with my character panel, but I can get to that if I don't have the character panel out by going Window and then Paragraph. In the paragraph panel, I've got my alignment. So for example, if I want it left align, which gives me the nice straight line on the left, and then a rag on the right, centered, which gives me the straight line in the middle, and then rags on both sides, right align, which is the nice straight line on the right, rag on the left, or justified, which gives you the nice straight lines on both sides, and I can choose to have it justified with the last line to the left, justify with the last line centered, or justify with the last line to the right, or fully justify, which just stretches out all the lines. Now keep in mind, when you justify text, it stretches the spacing between the character, between the words, in order to make it all line up perfectly on both sides. So sometimes you end up having more hyphenations at that time, where they have to hyphenate words and drop down. You also can end up with what are called rivers, where you see white lines kind of going down from line to line because of the extra space that's being put in between each one. So the most readable alignment studies have shown is left align, and that's generally what you're going to be doing unless you have a very specific reason to use one of the other ones. But that's in the paragraph panel. Also in the paragraph panel, I have my left indent, my right indent, I have my first line indent, and then spacing before or after my paragraphs. If I have this hyphenate checked, it will allow it to hyphenate words from one line to another. If it's unchecked, it will not allow the hyphenation of words from one line to another.